The hot sun burned over the quiet road. Armand, a young millionaire, sat inside his black luxury car. The AC was on full, but his mind was restless. He had just left a big meeting in the city, full of smiling faces, fake handshakes, and lies. Everyone wanted something from him, money, fame, or power, but no one cared about his heart. He looked out the window and sighed. Then, he saw her. A girl in a simple green dress was walking slowly on the side of the road. She carried 2 big metal water pots, one in each hand. Sweat rolled down her forehead, but her face was calm. Beside her walked an old man, coughing with each step. She looked at him kindly, then lifted one pot and gave it to him. Armand stared, forgetting to blink. There was something about the way she walked. Her eyes were deep, full of quiet strength. Her feet were dusty, her clothes were worn. But her spirit was shining. She looked like someone who had seen pain but chose to smile anyway. She didn't even see Armand's car. She just kept walking toward a small village in the distance. Armand turned to his driver. "Stop the car," he said. The driver looked confused but obeyed. Armand stepped out and watched her from afar. He didn't know why, but something inside. His chest felt tight. He hadn't felt that in years. "Who is she?" he whispered. The driver shrugged. "Just a village girl, sir." But Armand shook his head. "No, not just a village girl." Later that evening, Armand asked his assistant, "Saad, to find a reason to visit that village again. Say we're looking at land," Armand said. The next morning he returned, this time wearing simple clothes, no luxury car. Just a white shirt, jeans, and dusty shoes. He walked into the village like a stranger. The streets were narrow. Kids ran barefoot. Women filled pots near a hand pump. Men sat under trees talking about crops and weather. And then he saw her again. She was feeding birds near a small hut. Her smile was soft. She was talking to a young boy and fixing his torn shirt with a needle and thread. Armand watched from a distance. He didn't want to scare her. Saad walked up behind him and said, "Sir, you've never come to a place like this before. What are you looking for?" Armand didn't answer at first. He just kept watching her. Then he said slowly, "Peace." Over the next week, Armand kept coming back. He said he was a traveler, exploring the countryside. Zoya, the girl with the mao, green dress, didn't talk much at first. She was quiet but polite, but Armand helped around the village. He carried water, lifted bags, bought sweets for children, and even helped paint the school wall. People began to like him. Zoya started to smile when she saw him. One day it rained heavily. Everyone ran for cover. Armand and Zoya stood under the same roof, watching the sky. Their clothes were wet, but they both laughed. "You're not from here, are you?" Zoya asked softly. "No," Armand said, "but I wish I was." Zoya looked at him. Her eyes searched his face. "You speak differently," she said. "But you're kind." Armand smiled. "And you're strong." Zoya looked down, shy. That night, back in his city apartment, Armand couldn't sleep. He thought of her hands, rough from work but gentle. Her eyes full of fire, her voice calm like a river. He had met models, actresses, and rich girls, but no one ever made his heart beat like this. He called Saad at midnight. "Sir, everything okay?" Saad asked sleepily. Armand's voice was quiet, but clear. "I want to marry her." Zoya sat under the neem tree sewing a torn school uniform for one of the village kids. Her hands moved fast, but her mind was far away. The new traveler, Armand, had been coming every day now. He brought food for the poor, helped elders with chores, and even cleaned the village temple steps. No rich man ever did such things. He wasn't like the others. He didn't act proud. He didn't ask strange questions. He just smiled and helped, quietly. Still, Zoya was careful. In her life, she had learned not to trust too easily. People made promises and then left. They said sweet things and then disappeared. Her heart had been broken before, by dreams, by fate, by people. So when Armand came up to her that evening, looking nervous, she didn't expect what was about to happen. Armand held a small white box in his hand. Zoya looked up and smiled. What's that? He didn't smile back. His face was serious. I have something to say, he began. Zoya's smile faded. She stood up slowly. Armand took a deep breath. I know I'm just a traveler to you, but in these few days, I've felt more peace here than in all the cities I've lived in. And you are the reason. Zoya frowned. What are you saying? He opened the box. Inside was a small silver ring. I want to marry you, he said quietly. Zoya blinked. Then she laughed. A soft laugh at first, then louder. You're joking, right? She said. Did someone dare you to do this? Is this a game rich people play when they get bored? Armand looked hurt. No, Zoya, I'm not joking. She stepped back. I'm a poor village girl. I fix clothes, I carry water. You drive big cars and wear expensive shoes. Why would someone like you want to marry someone like me? Armand closed the box and put it back in his pocket. Because you are real, he said. You care for others. You're not after money. You smile even when life is hard. I've met many women, but no one like you. Zoya crossed her arms. So what, you'll take me to the city? Show me off like a trophy? And then forget me when your family says no? Armand shook his head. I won't let anyone hurt you. I promise. But Zoya's eyes were filled with doubt. I don't trust. Promises they break. And with that she turned and walked away. That night she couldn't sleep, her heart beat fast. Her hands trembled. She remembered the way he looked at her, not with pity but with respect. She thought about how he treated the poor, how he played with the children, how he never spoke badly to anyone. Could he really be telling the truth? Was he different, or was she just being foolish again? The next day, Armand didn't come, or the day after. Zoya felt something strange, like a hole in her chest. She missed his smile, his quiet presence, his silly jokes. She didn't want to admit it, but she had started to like him too. Maybe even more than that. On the third day, Zoya's father came home from the fields, wiping sweat from his forehead. Zoya, he said, a man came to see me. Zoya looked up quickly. Who? That city boy, her father said. He asked for your hand in marriage. Zoya froze. What? What did you say? She whispered. Her father sat down beside her. His face was calm. I told him I trust you to decide, he said. But I saw something in his eyes. He's not joking, Beta. That boy is serious. Zoya bit her lip. Her hands shook. But Papa, his world is not our world. Her father smiled softly. Maybe that's the point. Maybe he wants to leave that world for you. That evening, Zoya walked alone to the hill where she and Armand once watched the sunset. She found him there, sitting on a stone, looking at the sky. I thought you left, she said. I couldn't, he replied. Zoya sat down beside him. She didn't speak for a long time. Then finally she whispered, If I say yes, will you still treat me the same when we're not in this village? Armand turned to her. I will treat you even better, he said, because then you'll be my wife. Zoya looked away. Her heart was racing, and for the first time she allowed herself to dream. The sun rose slowly over the city skyline. Inside a tall building with glass walls, Armand sat in his office, staring out at the busy roads below. Cars moved fast. People rushed and phones kept ringing. But Armand's mind was still in the quiet village. He closed his eyes and remembered Zoya's smile, her voice, her words. If I say yes, will you still treat me the same when we're not in this village? She had said yes, but now came the hard part, telling his family. That night, during dinner, his mother, Nafiza, talked about a businesswoman's daughter she wanted Armand to meet. She's educated, comes from a big family, and owns 2 schools, his mother said, sipping her soup. Armand looked down at his plate. I'm already seeing someone. His father stopped eating. What? Armand looked up. I'm going to marry her. His mother raised an eyebrow. Who is she? Armand hesitated for a second. Then he said, a village girl. Silence filled the room. A what? His mother asked again, her voice sharper now. A village girl, Armand repeated. Her name is Zoya. She's kind, honest, and hardworking. His mother laughed. You must be joking. I'm not, Armand said. Do you even know what people will say? She snapped. A millionaire marrying a girl who probably milks cows and washes clothes? Have you lost your mind? His father said nothing. He just stared at Armand, disappointed. Armand stood up from the table. I'm not asking for permission. I'm just informing you. I love her. And with that, he walked away. The next few days were hard. His mother tried to emotionally blackmail him. His relatives started calling. Some friends laughed behind his back. But Armand didn't care. He had made up his mind. He called his assistant Saad and gave him instructions. I want a simple wedding in the village, Armand said. No big decorations, no media, keep it private. Saad was surprised. Sir, you're sure? Yes, Armand said. If I take her out of her world, I want her to step into mine slowly, with dignity. Meanwhile, in the village, Zoya was both happy and nervous. She had told her father the news. Her younger brother danced around the house in excitement, but her neighbors whispered, why would a rich man marry someone like her? He must be hiding something. She must have trapped him. Zoya ignored them, but deep down, a small fear grew inside her. Would she really be accepted? Was Armand's love strong enough to fight the world? 1 week before the wedding, Armand came to the village alone. He met Zoya near the pond where kids were playing. I've arranged everything, he said. Next Friday we'll get married. Just close family and a few villagers. Zoya looked to his eyes. What about your parents? They won't come, Armand said quietly. Zoya's smile faded. Do they hate me? They don't know you, he said. But they will, one day. Zoya looked away. I don't want to be the reason your family breaks. You're not, Armand said. You're the reason I feel whole. The week passed quickly. Zoya's simple white dress was ready. Her friends made flower jewelry. Her father cleaned the small courtyard for the wedding. Villagers helped with cooking and music. Everyone was excited, except Armand's family. They were silent, angry, waiting. But Armand was peaceful. He had chosen love over pride. On the wedding day, Armand wore a simple kurta. He arrived with a small group, his assistant, driver, and a few workers from his company who supported him. Zoya walked in with flowers in her hair and hope in her heart. People clapped, children threw petals, music played, and just as the priest began the ceremony, luxury cars arrived. Big, shiny black cars rolled into the village. Everyone turned to look, and out stepped Armand's mother. In a silk sari with angry eyes, the music stopped. The guests froze. Even the birds on the trees flew away as the black cars stopped in front of the small village courtyard. Zoya stood near the wedding altar, holding her father's hand. She looked beautiful in her simple white dress with flowers in her hair and hope in her heart. But now that hope started to shake. Armand's mother stepped out of the car first. She wore a bright silk sari, heavy gold jewelry, and dark sunglasses. 2 of Armand's uncles and a few city relatives followed behind her. None of them looked happy. The villagers whispered, "Who are they?" "They look rich." "Is that his family?" Armand's face turned serious. He quickly walked over. "To them." "Ma, I didn't expect you to come," he said quietly. His mother removed her sunglasses and stared at the simple decorations around. "How could I not come?" she said coldly. "My only son is ruining his life and you expect me to sit at home?" Armand's jaw tightened. "This is not ruining my life. This is saving it." She didn't listen. Instead, she turned her eyes toward Zoya, who stood quietly, her heart pounding. "So this is the girl," she said loudly. Zoya looked down. The villagers fell silent. The music players slowly moved to the side. The whole village held its breath. "She looks like a maid," Armand's mother said, laughing cruelly. "You left our world for this?" Armand stepped in front of her. Enough, Ma. But she wasn't done. She walked straight to Zoya and said, Do you think marrying my son will make you a queen? You don't even belong in our kitchen. Zoya's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't say a word. Armand's father stepped forward now. He didn't shout, but his words were cold. We gave you everything, Armand. And this is how you thank us? By marrying a poor girl who doesn't even speak proper English? The guests murmured. Zoya's father stood protectively near his daughter, his hands shaking. Armand looked around, then back at Zoya. She was still standing, her chin high, tears in her eyes, but not breaking. He turned to his parents. She has more respect in her silence than any of your words today, he said. Then, he took Zoya's hand. If you want to stay, you're welcome to. But if you came here to insult her, then you can leave. Everyone gasped. His mother looked shocked. His father's face turned red, but Zoya pulled her hand away gently. No, Armand, she whispered. He looked at her, confused. What do you mean? Zoya wiped her tears. Then she looked at his parents, then at the villagers, then at Armand. I can't do this, she said softly. You deserve someone from your own world. I don't want your love to come with shame. I don't want to be a reason your parents feel insulted. Armand stepped closer. Zoya, please. But she stepped back. I'm sorry, she said, and ran. She ran past the guests through the small gate and into the trees beyond the village. The music was gone. The colors were gone. Only silence remained. Hours passed. The wedding was over, without a bride. Armand sat alone under the neem tree where he and Zoya used to meet. His white kurta was covered in dust and his eyes were red. His assistant Saad brought him water. Sir, what now? Armand didn't answer. He was replaying every moment in his head. The insults, the silence, the look in Zoya's eyes before. She ran. His heart felt broken, but not just by her leaving, it was broken by his own family's hate. Meanwhile, Zoya sat by the old village pond, the same one where she once watched the sun set with Armand. She cried silently. She didn't want anyone to hear her. I loved him, she whispered to herself. But I love my self-respect too. Then she looked at her reflection in the water. Her flower jewelry had fallen off. Her white dress was dirty, but her eyes still had strength. I'm not weak, she told herself. But her heart ached. Back in the city, Armand's parents celebrated. We saved you, his mother said. One day you'll thank us. But Armand didn't speak to them. He locked himself in his room. He didn't eat. He didn't sleep. He just stared at the one photo he had of Zoya, her smile, her soft eyes, her calm face. And he made a decision. Soft wind passed through the village trees. The days felt slower now. The village, once filled with wedding excitement, had gone quiet again. Zoya sat outside her small home, helping her younger brother with his homework. Her eyes were calm, but something inside her still hurt. Every time she looked at the pond, the tree, the place where she had first met Armand, her heart ached. She missed him, but she also knew she had done the right thing. Zoya believed in love, but not in begging for respect. That day at the wedding, she had seen the truth. Armand's family didn't see her as equal, and she couldn't live a life where she was always made to feel small. Still, every night she whispered a small prayer for Armand. She didn't hate him. She loved him too much to trap him between two worlds. Meanwhile, in the city, Armand was a different man. His suits were still perfect, his car still shiny, his office still full of people, but inside he was empty. Every morning he woke up hoping it had all been a dream, that Zoya hadn't left, that the wedding had happened. But the bed was always cold, the village was far, and his heart, broken. He stopped going to parties, stopped smiling. Even his business meetings became shorter. His employees noticed, but no one dared to ask. Only one person stayed close, his assistant Saad. Sir, it's been weeks, Saad said one day gently. She deserves to know the truth. What truth? Armand said, tired. That you still love her. That you're sorry that you didn't protect her when it mattered. Armand said nothing, but later that night he sat at his desk and picked up a pen. Dear Zoya, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't even know if you'll want to, but I need to say what I couldn't that day. I'm sorry, not for loving you, but for not standing taller, not shouting louder, not holding your hand tighter. I should have told them in front of the world that I'm proud to love you. That you're more honest than anyone I know. That you're the only person who saw me, not the money, not the status. Just me. I miss you. Every moment. I know I failed you once, but if you give me one more chance, I promise to never let go again. Yours, Armand. The next morning, Saad personally drove the letter to the village. Zoya was washing clothes when a young boy came running. Didi, a man from the city came. He brought a letter for you. Zoya wiped her hands and walked out, confused. Saad greeted her with a soft smile. It's from him. He handed her the envelope. Zoya held the letter for a moment. Her hands trembled. Her heart beat fast. She opened it slowly and began to read. With every line, her eyes filled with tears. But this time, they weren't from pain. They were from love, real love, love that still lived in both their hearts. The next few days were hard for Zoya. She walked around the village thinking, could she return to Armand's world? Would his family ever respect her? Could their love survive? She sat with her father one evening and showed him the letter. He read it carefully, then looked at his daughter. Do you trust him? Zoya nodded. Do you love him? I always did. Then go, he said. Life doesn't always give second chances. Zoya didn't go to the city. She sent a letter back instead. Dear Armand, I read your words with tears in my eyes, but I need you to do one thing before I return. Don't just prove your love to me. Prove it to them. Not with big houses or money, but with truth. When your world accepts me as I am, I will walk into it with my head high. I love you, but I love my dignity too. Yours, Zoya. Armand read her letter and smiled for the first time in weeks. She hadn't said no. She had asked for something rare, something powerful. Respect. Now it was his turn to fight for her, and this time, he would not lose. It had been 2 weeks since Zoya left the wedding. The flowers had dried. The guests had gone. The memory of that day still lived in every corner of the village. Zoya spent her days quietly. She helped her father at the farm, fetched water, and took care of her younger siblings. Her face was calm, but her eyes were tired. At night, when the village slept, she would sit near the old tree, where Armand once waited for her, and look at the stars. Why did it end like this? She whispered into the night. Why does love have to hurt so much? She missed him, not the millionaire, not the suits or the cars, just him, Armand, the man who smiled at her jokes, who listened to her stories, who sat with her under the sun, and called her special. In the city, Armand was no longer the man people knew. He stopped going to meetings. He ate very little. Every time he looked in the mirror, he saw guilt. Guilt for not standing up for Zoya when it mattered most. He had tried to protect her heart but failed to protect her pride. She walked away because of me, he said to Saad, his assistant. I didn't hold her hand when the world attacked her. Saad placed a hand on Armand's shoulder. It's not too late, sir, but words won't be enough. Do something. That night, Armand sat at his desk. He opened a drawer and took out a photo of Zoya, one he had secretly clicked when she was laughing near the pond. He smiled sadly. Then he picked up a pen and started to write. Dear Zoya, I hope this letter reaches you. I've written and torn many letters, but this one comes straight from my heart. I don't know how to ask for forgiveness, but I know you deserve it. That day, I should have stood between you and the world. I should have told my parents that their hate cannot break my love. But I stayed silent. And in that silence, I lost you. I miss your voice, your kindness, your strength. You didn't walk away because you stopped loving me. You walked away because I didn't protect what we had. I don't want to live in a world where you're not by my side. But this time, I want to earn that right. If you give me one more chance, I promise this time I will not let go. Forever yours, Armand. The next morning, Armand gave the letter to Saad. Make sure she gets it, he said. Saad didn't waste time. By sunset, he was standing outside Zoya's home. She looked surprised. You? What are you doing here? Saad smiled politely. I brought something from someone who still believes in your love. He handed her the envelope. Zoya stared at it. Her hands shook slightly. She went inside and sat on the edge of her bed. Slowly, she opened the letter. Her eyes moved over every word, slowly, carefully, as if she was trying to hear Armand's voice behind the ink. By the end, her eyes were full of tears, not the painful kind, but the kind that falls when a heart hears something it has been waiting for. She pressed the letter to her chest, but then she walked to the table, picked up a pen, and began to write her reply. Dear Armand, I read every word. I cried, not because I was sad, but because I felt your heart again. But I need to be honest with you. I love you, Armand. That has never changed. But I also love myself. I walked away not because I doubted your love, but because I couldn't start a new life with old wounds. You were always proud of me in private. But now, I want the world to see that too. So I'm not asking for flowers or gold or grand promises. I only want one thing, respect. When your world accepts me without shame, I will return to you. Until then, I will wait. Not as a sad girl, but as a strong woman. Yours always, Zoya. The next day, Saad gave the letter to Armand. He read it slowly. Then he looked out of the window, smiled for the first time in days, and whispered, She hasn't closed the door. Now I'll break down the walls. He turned to Saad and said, Prepare the press. I have something to tell the world. Armand stood in front of the large mirror in his room, buttoning his black sherwani. But this wasn't for a party. It wasn't for a meeting. It was for something much bigger. Today, he wasn't dressing like a rich man. Today, he was dressing like a man on a mission. Beside him, Saad stood holding his phone. Sir, the press is ready. Media channels are live. Are you sure about this? Armand nodded. His eyes were calm but full of fire. She gave me one condition. To give her respect in front of the world. I won't fail her again. By 12 noon, every major news channel was reporting the same thing. Business tycoon Armand Malik calls press conference, but refuses to say why. Reporters filled the grand hall. Cameras clicked. Mics were set. Armand walked in. No bodyguards, no team, just him. He stood at the podium and looked straight into the cameras. Then, he spoke. I'm not here as a businessman today. I'm here as a man in love, and a man who made a terrible mistake. There was silence. I was going to marry a girl from a village, someone kind, brave, and honest, but on our wedding day, people insulted her because she was poor, because she wasn't like them. His voice cracked slightly. And I stayed, quiet. Reporters looked at one another in shock. I lost her that day, but I will not lose her again. He took a deep breath. Zoya, if you're watching this, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care about society. I care about you. He raised a folded paper. This is a legal document. I've transferred 50% of my company shares in your name. Not because you asked for money, but because I want the world to know. You're not below me. You're equal. Gasps echoed in the room. People may laugh. Let them. But I want you to walk into my world with your head high. Because that's how I see you. He stepped back. I love you, and I'm sorry. Then he walked away, leaving the whole country watching in silence. Back in the village, Zoya stood frozen, holding her younger brother's hand. Her family had gathered around the small TV in their neighbor's house. The room was packed, yet no one made a sound. The moment Armand said Zoya, everyone turned to look at her. Her hands trembled. Her heart raced. Tears fell down her face. But she didn't hide them. Her father placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. He spoke for you, he said softly. In front of the world. Zoya nodded, still unable to speak. Her little brother looked up at her. Dee, are you going to be a boss now? She laughed through her tears. No, I'm just going to be me. That evening, Armand sat alone in his garden, staring at the sky. He had done what she asked, but there was no reply, no call, no message, nothing. Maybe she still doesn't trust me, he said to Saad, who had just returned from an office meeting. Saad sat beside him. Or maybe she's planning her answer carefully. Just then, a car drove up the driveway. Armand looked, confused. The door opened, and there she was, Zoya, dressed in a simple white suit, her hair tied back. No jewelry, no makeup, just her, beautiful as ever. Armand stood up slowly, his heart pounding. She walked up to him, stopped just a few feet away, and smiled gently. You look tired, she said softly. He gave a broken laugh. I haven't been sleeping. She looked into his eyes. You did something no man has ever done for me. You gave me my respect back. I owed it to you. Zoya took a deep breath. I didn't come here to thank you. Armand's heart sank. I came here to finish what we started. He stared at her. What do you mean? Zoya smiled. I'm ready to marry you. This time, with no shame, no fear, and no silence. Tears filled Armand's eyes. He took her hands in his. Will you marry me again? Zoya nodded. Only this time, we won't walk down the aisle alone. We'll walk in front of the world and show them what real love looks like. The news spread like wildfire. Armand Malik to marry village girl again, this time with the world watching. TV channels played old clips. Social media was filled with comments. Some cheered, some mocked. But everyone was curious. Would this wedding really happen? Would a village girl become the bride of one of the richest men in the country? Zoya, on eye. The other hand stayed calm. She wasn't excited about the jewelry or the dresses. She was excited for one thing only, dignity. This time she would not walk into judgment or insults. She would walk into respect and love. The wedding day arrived, but it was not like before. It wasn't inside a fancy hotel or private resort. Instead, Armand made a bold choice. He arranged the wedding in Zoya's village. Yes, in the same dusty streets, under the same banyan tree where they once sat and laughed. He built a stage, covered it in white flowers, and invited not just guests, but the entire village. News vans arrived. Drones flew overhead. Reporters whispered into cameras. This is not just a wedding, this is history. Zoya stepped out of her small house wearing a simple red lehenga, stitched by the women of her own village. No gold, no diamonds, just grace. As she walked down the street, children threw petals. Old women clapped. Even the grumpy shopkeeper who once looked down on her now folded his hands in respect. Zoya's eyes sparkled. Her steps were steady. She wasn't walking into a new world. She was bringing her world with her. Armand stood on the stage, waiting. When he saw her, his breath caught. He had seen models and actresses, but no beauty in the world had ever looked like this. Not because of her clothes, but because of her courage. She reached the stage. Their eyes met. Neither of them said a word. They didn't have to. The crowd went silent as the ceremony began. The priest asked Armand, "Do you take this woman as your wife?" Armand smiled, holding Zoya's hand. "I took her as my wife the day I saw her helping an old man carry water. Today I just want the world to witness what my heart already knows." The priest turned to Zoya. "Do you take this man?" Zoya raised a hand politely. "I want to say something first. Everyone turned to her. Even Armand looked surprised. She looked at the crowd, her voice clear and steady. "When I first came to the